I'll be last because I want to talk about downtown in general.
Okay.
Just
Go
one
ahead.
question.
Put this here. Mine's wired, so I'm sorry about that.
Dude, I always forget how tall you are.
You ready, Sue? So I want to brief you on a murder that happened last night, a shooting that happened last night. I'm going to tell you everything that I know right now about that, and the investigation is barely starting. They've not even really been able to canvass the area for video and all that yet. So I don't have a lot of additional information to tell you. But this shooting last night made me sick to my stomach. A woman attending a graduation at the Alamo Dome was coming down Cesar Chavez and was the victim of a stray bullet. And the person she was riding with was also the victim of a stray bullet. There were two different scenes. There was one at Indianola and Cesar Chavez, and one further down this way at Hemisphere Boulevard and Cesar Chavez. So two separate places where the shooting took place. She unfortunately did not survive her wound. She was from out of town, in town for a graduation. This was a random act by two groups of young men carrying guns who decided to shoot it out with no regard to anyone else's safety in the area. We've seen this happen too many times, the last time over at Market Square. We have not officially identified the decedent or the other victim, so I do not want to give that information out right now. Our detectives are working on this as we speak. I feel somewhat confident that we'll be able to close this case. We detained a number of individuals last night, so we have identifications on folks. We have forensic evidence that may lead us to the perpetrator. But right now, that's all we have. This is not a hot spot. Again, this was a random act by individuals who have no regard for anybody else's well-being. I do want to express my condolences to the family of the victims. And that's all I have right now as far as additional information. The investigator just started around midnight last night, preliminary investigation, and once we get more information on that, we'll try to update you as it comes in.
Will more patrol be added to the area to make sure this doesn't happen again? I mean, it's worst case scenario, right? Someone who's visiting San Antonio shot dead downtown.
So if we have a pattern of offenses in an area, which this was not, we would typically put more patrols in the areas. So a random act doesn't necessarily mean we're going to add more patrols to the area. SAFE is working right now to determine what kind of additional presence may be placed here, but right now, because this was a random act, doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be increased patrols in the area.
I mean, San Antonio thrives off of tourism, though. So
Say what again?
San Antonio thrives off of tourism. So if I'm a tourist and I see there have been multiple shootings downtown in tourist attractions, I'm probably not going to want to come. At what point is one death too many to where we do need additional patrol?
One death is too many at any point. SAFE officers will be working this area to determine what, if anything, needs to be added. I get the fact that tourism is a concern when there's a violent crime, especially in the downtown area. I get that. But again, this was a random event. It's not as though there was a pattern of offenses here. one death is too many. I get that. We all get that. But and this was not a hot spot. So we will determine what, if anything, as far as increasing patrols need to be done. We have, I won't give you the number, but we have a lot of bike patrol officers that work this area, and they work for 20 hours a day. They are all over the place. Sue and Ann, I know what you're going to ask, is downtown safe? There was a cab driver, I know you're probably going to bring that up, who was stabbed last night as well. Another random act. There's not a pattern to these offenses. They could happen anywhere. They could happen here, they can happen up north, south side, east side, it doesn't matter. It can happen anywhere, and unfortunately it happened here last night. Unfortunately it happened last night. So again, investigators are on top of this, and I'm hoping that we have it closed sooner than later.
And if safe officers do determine that additional patrol is needed, how soon can that be implemented in this area?
We would implement it immediately, but again, if you have a random act, it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to increase patrols. Increase it for what? Another random act? A random act can happen anywhere in the city, right?
Do we know why the young group of people were here?
I do not, but we detained, and I'll give you the number, we detained 9 individuals last night. We got identifications. Unfortunately, we were not able to work up enough probable cause where we could arrest anyone. But we have enough information to go forward to look deeper into this.
Was that the young man that got shot as well? Or?
Yes. Yes.
Now, if they are charged, what charges could they be facing?
They'll be charged with a capital murder
You said the woman came.
and aggravated assault as well.
You said the woman came from out of town. Do you know from what area?
She was from Euless,
From what?
Euless, Texas.
So the young man that got injured, he was not the one that was also shooting?
No, he was
also-
not. He was in the vehicle with the woman. Yeah, he was not.
And it's capital because another person was shot?
Capital
Maybe just,
age, right?
It might just be murder. Well, age, I'm sorry.
Because of the age.
Because she was elderly.
Yes.
How many young people were involved in all of this?
Well, we detained 9, so we were able to gather up 9 people who were possibly involved in this. And again, unfortunately, all too often, young people with guns, with no regard for anybody else's safety, are shooting indiscriminately in open areas where other people could easily be hurt, as was the case last night, as was the case at Market Square.
And I know you say this was random, maybe isolated, but there have been at least 4 shootings downtown so far this year alone. At what point does it become a hot spot if random acts keep on happening?
We have adequate patrol downtown. Hotspots, if we had hotspots, we'd be looking at a different method to try to prevent them. But there's a distinction between a hotspot and random acts that are occurring in a particular area. There's nothing organized about these offenses that happen. If we had an organized group of individuals who were shooting it out on a regular basis, that changes the dynamic of it. But when you have a random act, it's a random act.
And what if random acts keep on happening and happening and happening downtown? I mean, at some point,
Well, let's deal with that if that happens. We have adequate patrol downtown. We have, I'm not going to give you the number of bike officers that I said patrol here, in addition to your patrol officers that work the districts down here, in addition to covert officers who work where there are issues happening. Park police are here. We have eyes and ears down here that are not necessarily police officers. So I don't want to understate the importance of the patrol in the downtown area by saying that this is a random act and doesn't necessarily lead up to additional patrols in the area. We have, again, a lot of officers in this area. Random acts, they're very difficult to prevent. put an officer on every single corner, it's not going to happen.
Chief McManus, you mentioned two groups of young men. Were they all teens? The
I don't know the ages of them, but they were young men.
What's the age range? Do you have an
I don't
estimate?
know. I don't know.
Last question.
The cab drivers that I was talking to this morning have some concerns about, specifically about homeless people and people with mental illness that are congregated in the downtown area. They're near Haven for Hope. They're downtown. I know that it's not a hot spot, but do you have any thoughts about the concentration of homeless people here who oftentimes
Sue,
get into trouble?
there has always been a concentration of homeless in the downtown area, and we've seen that spread to the outer rings of the city over the past few years. But there's always been a concentration of homeless. When they break the law, we take the appropriate action. We try to provide them with services. There is so much that is offered to the homeless who are on the street. Unfortunately, we can't make them take advantage of the services that are available to them.
I don't think it's capital murder. I think it's just gonna be regular murder.
Okay, so I'm corrected on the charge. It wouldn't be a capital murder. It would be a murder and an ag assault on the younger person.
Right now, you're just looking for one person that shot.
Pardon?
You're just looking for one person right now.
Well, I don't know. Since there was a number of people who were shooting, we don't know.
Were any of them underage?
Pardon?
Were any of them underage?
The young people who were stopped?
Who were shooting?